So, the final race to breast the tape in Anambra State, a governorship election that's captured the attention of Nigerians. The choice of who becomes the next leader of the state they call the light of the nation is in the hands of the people of Ihiala local government, although arguably the figures already collated from across Anambra may have already told the story. But there is the slimmest chance of an upset, and it is on that basis that the battle continues to the very end. With more on this, I'll be joined in a moment by Barrister Mike Ozulumba, former candidate of APGA in the House of Representatives Ihiala Federal Constituency in 2007, and by Arise News and Current Affairs analyst Dr. Sam Amadi. But first, let's cross over to Ihiala, scene of the electoral battle, and speak to Arise correspondent Ozi Okoli. Ozi, thanks very much indeed for joining us. We know you've had a desperately long day, and we appreciate the work you're doing, and you're taking the time to talk to us. What's your sense of how it's going in that Ihiala supplementary election, briefly?
The election is gradually coming to an end here in Ihiala local government, especially where I am at the moment, which is Ezani Health Center in Amamu in Ihiala local government. Initially, we were at Ezani Community Primary School, where some of the polling units are gradually coming to an end, rounding up their accreditation and voting, because they did it simultaneously. If you take a look at my right hand here, this polling unit 006, though they came very late today, they started at 2:37 p.m. Accreditation and voting let's just say it has almost come to an end here. Same thing is happening on my left, where you have the polling unit 008, accreditation and voting at the same time. So hopefully by 4:30 or 5 they should be rounding up, though the materials in these particular units came in very, very late. And we've not had any crises or major challenge or issues here since we've been covering this in the early hours of today, starting from the local government secretariats to the various places that we have been to. And it's been a very free and fair election that has continued, and we hope it will definitely come to an end.
Okay, and what about the voter turnout? Has it been larger than what you saw in the other local governments, or has it been pretty much a trickle?
You know, Ihiala local government, the registered voters, the accredited registered voters, you have 148,407 people from Anambra State who registered to vote, and you have close to 300 and something units. So far, from what we saw, people really came out to cast their votes, though the late bringing in of sensitive materials and other things made it very, very difficult for people to really come out as at when they were supposed to. Though some that came stayed, and at a point they were so frustrated that some left, but to an extent a large majority stayed back to ensure that they did cast their votes. So as it is, the voter apathy here isn't, I can't say it's that much, because people really turn out to ensure that they cast their votes. And even to the extent that as at 2:37, when the materials came in very late, where I am now at the moment, we still saw a lot of people still staying back, waiting to ensure that even if the materials come by 6 p.m., they will cast their votes. And this shows that Anambrarians are very, very interested in this election, and they are very happy to do so.
Okay, Ozi, thanks very much indeed. Go and get a drink of water and perhaps some food. Thank you very much indeed for your comprehensive coverage there. Ozi Okoli, Arise correspondent talking to me from Ihiala in Anambra State. Well, for further analysis, I'm joined now in the studio by Barrister Mike Ozulumba, former candidate of APGA in the House of Representatives Ihiala Federal Constituency in 2007, and by Arise News and Current Affairs analyst Dr. Sam Amadi. Thank you very much indeed, gentlemen. Let me come to you, Sam, first. Based on what you're seeing and hearing today, and you've also been part of the analysis of this election in Anambra State, do you expect to see any major upsets emerging from the results?
I don't think so. I mean, by simple analogy, if you have done 20 local governments and the closest to the leader is one local government with not... We've not seen people open up leads like 10,000 or 20,000. It will be an outlier if Ihiala produces that much divergence. So ordinarily, from just a mathematical perspective, it looks very unlikely that there will be an offset. What we might be looking at is to see if the difference shrinks furthermore, and to see what probably happens to the first and second and third, the runners up. So primarily, one could say maybe it's almost done. But then 148,000 votes. So two factors. One, it depends on whose stronghold we are in now, and last minute, change of mind, and last minute campaign, or configuration of, for example, if there were major people who have kind of supported the leader, then you see some bandwagon effect, so he can actually stretch his lead. And if the remainders have come together to project a particular opposition to the person who is leading, APGA Soludo, you might see some climb back in this process. But primarily, this looks like giving people the right to vote, and maybe creating a closure that there will be no need. And I think INEC did the right thing, so this is going to be maybe a closure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Barrister Ozulumba, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank
You're
you.
from Okija,
Yes.
Which is the biggest town, I understand, in Ihiala local government. It's got, 5 or 10 wards, so the whole of Ihiala has got 20. And that suggests that it contributes a lot to the political equation there. Yeah. What are you hearing about what happened there today, without mentioning any political parties and without telling us who you think is winning?
Thank you very much. I'm totally just a neutral analyst, even though you identify me by a political party. Consistent with what my brother Sam just said here, there's not much we should expect. I think the whole cake has been baked already. The people are just naturally anxious to participate in the process. And from what I'm getting from the fields there's not much overwhelming attendance, but people are very, very decided that they should exercise their franchise, and they're doing that today peacefully. What happened in the last time, if I may correct it, I've been getting news snipers that it was because of security threats that marred the election of the November 6th. That was not so really, because a lot of our boys,
in Ihiala? Okay, right.
We knew that a lot of our boys were there, but there was no transport logistics on INEC's part to get the materials to the polling units on time. By the time they finally attempted to get some commercial bus drivers to take it overnight, it was too late, and the people basically rejected it, only to leave for today. And I'm sure everyone is in celebratory mode. What is also happening, in spite of 148,000 registered voters, the people who collected their PVCs are less than 43,000 in today's election. So I do not see how mathematically they could do it, or how statistically it could be overcome. So we're just in a good celebratory mood to participate in the process.
Right. So just briefly, do the people in Okija, for example, vote in a block, or are they kind of dissipated in terms of the way the voting patterns there?
They used to vote in a big block before. I must tell you, there was massive disappointment probably on the last administration that's about to transition out. So a lot of discontent that there was not much done for Okija and Ihiala local government, in spite of being among the largest block voters for APGA over the years. So it was equally balanced in the anger of frustration by the people. But it's almost like they're giving a golden fleece now to put their hammer where they want to be. And we pretty much know that in the past few days, a lot of things has been breaking back to the former political parties. We have two candidates in current election, one from Ihiala, which is, I believe, he's a very popular man there, and one from Okija, Nwampo Sullivan, Akachukwu, who simply gave up and asked his followers to follow a particular party. And so we have a good idea what the evening will turn out to be.
Right. So, Dr. Sam, Amadi, do you expect this to be the end of this, or are we likely to see sort of people going off to court?
Well, interestingly, I think if the report is correct, the APC leaders have expressed already some misgiving. The question is, would they, what will happen between now? And some Igbo leaders are trying to say, we will want Anambra to be open and close. So whoever wins is an Anambrarian, is an Igbo person. So, but I think...
But obviously people have the right to go to court.
First, they have the right to go to court. Secondly, the Nigerian political environment is now conditioned by this incentive structure, which is the overindulgence of the judiciary to political actors and cases. So it creates a market for litigation, because essentially judges have been so liberal. At the end of the day, for example, they'll go to the Supreme Court and say, we shouldn't have taken this matter. It didn't meet the criteria. So the Nigerian legal system creates incentive for people to shop. And maybe we'll get something, maybe some technicalities. So I would be surprised if this matter happens just like the Jonathan case. People just say, you know what, we fought gallantly, we lost. So I expect legal action. Now, whether they will succeed, it looks to me, from what I've seen so far, that I think INEC and every other person has got their act right to a large extent. What has been missing is logistics nightmare. We've not seen cases of security violations reported. We've not seen intervention by party leaders, in spite of all the fake news about trucks moving in and Governor of Imo State doing that and that. Those things, no evidence. So I was on phone this morning with the leader of the institutional room down in Anambra. And the information is very clear that essentially the people are behaving in block. Right. This is not even about the candidates necessarily. It's about platforms and about some kind of emancipatory politics that they want locally, and then maybe at the national elections they behave differently. So I expect there will be cases, but maybe they won't be meritorious.
Okay, Dr. Sam Amadi and Barrister Michael Ozulumba, thank you very much indeed.